Hello, welcome to Claret and Blue. My name is Dan Rollins. I'm joined here live from Orlando, Florida by John Townley to talk about Aston Villa's 2-0 win against Fulham in the Premier League Summer Series, a mini tournament thing that Villa are top of the league of as it stands, which is nice, I guess. John, how are you? How's things? What time is it over there?
I've no idea.
Better question is, how much have you slept?
I slept at 5 this time, so it was about 4 hours or so. It's fine now. I had a lot of adrenaline last night, so I think I'll crash later on today. I don't know why I had adrenaline, to be honest. The game itself was relatively boring, but it was very enjoyable being there. That sounds like I wasn't enjoying myself.
Let's get into the game then. You sent us a video back after the game of you walking back to your hotel or wherever it was. It was dark, I know that. The kind of main takeaway from it is what pre-season is, fitness, and you're kind of implying that you can sense that Villa are getting fitter and fitter as each game passes, which that's what you like to see, isn't it? That's kind of the purpose of it. But do you feel that Villa are, with each passing game, more and more ready for the Premier League opener in 2 weeks, pretty much?
That's crazy. Just over 2 weeks already. Yeah, I do. Emery said after the game that while Villa lacked a bit of rhythm and fluency in the game, which I thought was spot on because it was very disjointed. And to be fair, I think the hour and 20-minute delay had an impact on that. Emery was pleased with it being just another game under Villa's belts against a Fulham team who were well organised, who were very fit themselves last season. They were obviously one of the surprises of the season in many ways and competed around the top half of the table for the whole season, even knocking on the door of Europe up until about April. I think the summer series is actually a really good idea because Villa are playing teams that already have a good base level of fitness and that have certain qualities, but ultimately you want to be playing different teams for different reasons to get different things from the game. Ultimately it's about fitness and abilities that you could use different players again. Villa's squad is looking more built out now. Their bench looks better. Obviously I don't think it's fully complete yet, but I think this is going to be the main, apart from maybe a couple more additions. This is going to be what Villa are going to be working with, and I think we're in a good place because we have 3 more games left of pre-season as well, which is, again, we played 6 this year. I think last year we played 5, but that extra game that we had against Valencia, I think that may be just because the Walsall game came before Tyrone Mings, John McGinn, all those players, all the international players came back.
I wish we'd asked Matty Cash about pre-season and what it means for a player, because there's 2 ways I look at it. We say a lot that pre-season is all about fitness, and I think as a footballer they would feel the same as well. I need to be ready for game week 1. I need to show the coaching staff that I'm ready, so I've got to be fit and get myself in condition for that. The flip side of it is, we'll say like win, lose or draw, it doesn't really matter. I'd be interested to see what the players think of that kind of approach as well, because yes, it is only pre-season, but if you are winning games and scoring loads of goals, I was going to say that is good for confidence, but do they think, well, it's meaningless because it's just a friendly and it's just ex-opposition, no, it doesn't matter that I've scored? I'd be intrigued to see how the players feel about it.
Yeah, my first question to Unai after the game was first clean sheet of pre-season, first win of pre-season, although it's pre-season game, sorry. Those are good habits to have. And he said yes, but Villa's fluency and some of the things that they worked on before the game didn't quite come off. So I think for players, they'll just follow the manager's lead. I think if Emery was saying things like, "Oh yeah, we won and that's what matters in these games," then I think the players would take that as like okay, well that's good. We'll try and do that again next time, rather than focus on the tactical elements and the aspects that are really going to make a difference for Villa next season. So I don't think players will care for results really. I think it's weirdly like more of an individual thing. Players know that they personally have to get into their rhythm and get up to fitness ahead of the new season. And yes, you can talk about the team in terms of how Villa collectively defend or collectively attack or keep the ball with teammates, that sort of thing. But ultimately, I think pre-season is there for example, Luca Dean to get up to fitness because he knows he's going to be the left back when they're play Newcastle, and then the 3 games after that as well, before Alex Moreno returns. So I think ultimately it's for players. I think it's more of an individual thing of how can they get into the best position possible for the new season. And obviously with that comes bonding with teammates and on and off the pitch as well. So yeah, 3 more pre-season games. There's plenty of time to learn more things, embed more tactics from Unai's perspective. and that's what he's going to do.
And we'll start to see some of those players that we expect to start games in the Premier League in 2 weeks' time to start playing more and more minutes as those pre-season games pass by.
Yeah.
Pau Torres playing a half last night. If he's going to be starting against Newcastle, he's going to play 80, maybe 90 minutes at some point during this pre-season schedule. The rest of this show, we are going to keep it to a strict 30 minutes today because that's what the post-match show is going to be going forward into the season. It's going to be guided by comments from Twitter. The first is from Lee, who asks, who will be our penalty taker in the upcoming season, do we think? Obviously, Archer had one last night. It was a great save, I thought. It was in the corner, and it was a good save with the fingertips of Leno. Would have been nice to have Archer get off the score sheet and be involved in that kind of buzz of, yes, like we've just said, it's only pre-season, but your young prospect coming forward and scoring goals is good fun for everybody. So what did you think about penalty taker? Who is it?
Ollie Watkins scored as well against Walsall, didn't he? And that was a really good penalty. No pressure on it, though, so it's difficult. I think it depends who's on the pitch. I think maybe Tielemans will take it if he was playing. I know that Archer took it yesterday when Tielemans was playing, but I think that was because Archer was desperate to score and he wants to put himself forward. As you know, if he tucks away this penalty, then all of a sudden we're thinking, well, that's 1 out of 1. It was a really good save by Leno. I wasn't sure if it hit the post or if Leno saved it from where I was sat, and because I didn't have my glasses, which is my story. So
oh yes, so you said before we started the podcast you said I've got a story to tell. I said save it for the podcast.
Everything was a bit blurry last night because I have glasses for long distance, so I struggle to see long distance, so I have to wear my glasses for the football. I went to the bar which all the Villa fans were at in Orlando, which was really good, by the way. It was packed, and
the videos, clips from that look really good.
I know I've taken my glasses in there and I've come out and I don't think I've got them anymore, but I didn't realise that until I got to the stadium and I unpacked and I was like, that's an issue, I can't see much. Gone down to security and stuff and said, have you seen my glasses? And they're like, no, I haven't seen anything. When the game was delayed by for the foreseeable future, there was no time limit on it, so I thought it's going to be at least an hour. So I've run back to the pub, which is about 8 minutes running, and it was torrential rain. I'm sweating because it's like 30 degrees, really humid. Gone back there, and then my glasses, I couldn't find them, so I had to run back. I'm in a state in the press box. Yeah, long story short, I didn't have my glasses during the game, but then afterwards they're there by the door of the press box room, just on the floor. Honestly, it was an absolute nightmare. But I have my glasses now. It's all good. So for the FedEx game, the game at the FedEx Field against Brentford, you will have an Aston Villa supporter who has good vision for the next game. So yeah, it was an absolute, literally a run around. It was manic.
So we take everything you've written or say on this podcast with a pinch of salt, with the caveat that you probably couldn't see it anyway.
I could see it, but it's just so blurry. Like the Archer penalty, I literally couldn't tell if it was saved or whatever. So I've had to spin around, look at the TV monitor. I couldn't really see it then either. So I've gone on Twitter, but search what's happened. Yeah.
God.
But whatever. Let's go back to Villa.
Yeah, put it down to the lack of sleep and hard work, and let's leave it at that. James asks, if you could only sign one more player, would you sign a forward, a striker or a winger, a backup goalkeeper or a right back?
I think we're quite well stocked actually for forwards now, considering Emery wants to keep Cameron Archer and John Duran. You've got Diaby coming into the mix. You've got Leon Bailey coming into the mix when he returns. You've also got Jacob Ramsey coming into the mix. So I feel like there's a lot to work with there. And I know a striker is also something Villa are considering. Villa do need to start shifting players out of the squad now because it's getting a bit too big, and that's filled up with a couple of 3 or 4 players. By 3 or 4 players who know that they won't be playing in next season. Keenan Davis, Wesley, those names. Important that Villa move players on, and they are looking at different positions. Right back, obviously, is one. Striker's another. In terms of goalkeeper, I think that would be my answer to this question, because I'm not convinced that Olsen can build up exactly how Martinez can, and there's always going to be a drop-off from Martinez, whoever Villa buy, but I do think it's very important that the goalkeeper is capable of building from the back, and we've said it before, Olsen certainly has a place in the squad. He's a Sweden international, one of the most experienced players in the team. We're not criticising him as a goalkeeper. He's more than capable. It's just that I think Villa need a goalkeeper who is slightly different to play in the way Emery can play. In terms of the right back, we saw Konsa move there yesterday, and I asked him about that. I asked Emery, and he asked him, was it for rotation for Cash because Cash has played both the friendly so far and played quite a lot of minutes. But he said no, it's for tactics, and he wanted to see how Villa built up with a back three, with Konsa tucking inside and go from there. So, and he was impressed by Konsa. He said he played well, and I think whenever Konsa has played right back, he's looked very good. He obviously played there a little bit for Charlton. He's just very comfortable and quite relaxed, but in a good way. There's no panic, there's no rush, and he's obviously a solid defender as well. Philogene also tucked around to make like a 5 at the back at some points. So that was another side to Philogene's game. Obviously scores, and we'll talk about that. And he's down the other end defending and down Konsa and Philogene's side. Nothing really went down there at all. And again, it's a good opponent. You're playing Fulham. This isn't, with all due respect, Walsall, who arguably had more of an attacking threat. Well, as much as an attacking threat, but obviously Villa are now further down their preparations for the season. So, long story short, to answer that question, I'd probably say goalkeeper.
Yeah, exactly the same as you. It's sexy, isn't it, to sign a big striker or a Diaby kind of forward, and we obviously have Diaby, but to have another someone like a Brennan Johnson as an example would be like, well, okay, there's serious firepower for Villa to work with now. Like that's an attractive signing to spend 40-50 million in one area. You said about not criticising Olsen, but I think if you look at those three positions specifically, of if the alternative is playing, what's the drop off? So if Watkins isn't available and it's Archer, that's an X% drop off. If it's not Cash playing and it's Konsa right back or Chambers, that's an X% drop off. If Martinez isn't playing and Olsen is, that's the biggest drop off percentage between the two options for me. He's not as good as a goalkeeper, and he can't play in the same style of football that Emery wants to play, building out from the backs. That causes the biggest problem.
That's the point. Martinez is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. You're never going to get near him in terms of a backup. I just think Emery might be looking at a goalkeeper that fits a different function to what Olsen brings. Olsen brings a lot of experience. I don't think he has the ability to build from the back particularly well, and it does invite pressure on our defence. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks.
Ricardo says, this is a great question, and I'm going to massively put you on the spot here. If the opening day game against Newcastle, you only play two in midfield, which of those two is it? Douglas Luiz, Boubacar Kamara and Youri Tielemans?
Really difficult question. I think, firstly, I'd put Kamara in there because he's a ball winner, and Luiz and Tielemans aren't that specifically or as good as Kamara. I think Luiz and Tielemans are very similar themselves. I'll be the first to say I thought Tielemans was excellent last night, and he was very good and rightly deserved man of the match. So I don't want to put anything. I don't want to put any negative spins on anything. But I've said it before. I just think Luiz is becoming a seriously good footballer. Like, he took 4 touches to turn what was a pass to him with his back turned to goal, 4 touches, and Villa in on goal. That's serious quality, man. Like, yes, Diaby scored.
The ball into Diaby, the assist.
Yeah, yes, Diaby scored, and that's fantastic. And that's everything that Villa wanted. From all the Villa fans wanted to see Diaby play and then score. But if you just rewind a second, honestly, for Luiz to have the awareness, he's already scanned. He knows the whole picture. He knows Diaby's going to make his run. He knows where the defender is. One touch brings his marker out the game. Second touch to steady himself. I've missed a touch in there somewhere. And the ball over the top is exquisite. It was just like, we go on about how striking wings can change games and things like that. Luiz has just plucked out a pass that's, if that's in a Premier League game and the game's tight, well, there you go. Serious quality. And to be fair, Kamara did something similar for Cameron Archer's penalty. He picked up the ball and it was a nice scoop pass. And Archer's movement for that goal. I haven't watched Archer live too much, but his movement is really good. Very good. I know we already knew that anyway. When you watch him, he's always playing on the blind side of his defender. He's very clever with it. He's not rapid and he's not particularly strong, but he's probably the closest thing to Jermaine Defoe that I've seen, especially as a Villa player. For that reason, I'd probably have to drop Tielemans because I think Luiz is one of our best players, if not our best player. I think he's excellent.
It's funny you mentioned the assist for the goal, because I was hoping that you'd touch on that more so than the finish from Diaby, which, by the way, was also very good. But that ball from Luiz was the killer part to that goal. Like, obviously, without that ball, the goal doesn't happen. It's a very obvious thing to say, but the technique of it, ironically, it's a moment of magic, isn't it? To take a couple of touches and put that ball through like that. Like, it's just like that, and it's done. And seeing that video that Villa and the Premier League posted yesterday of the GoPro thing on Youri Tielemans from the Newcastle game, I don't know if you had a chance to sit through the full 6 or 7 minutes, but even in a pre-season friendly, the pace of the game is unbelievable. Like things are happening in a split second. There's one particular moment where I think Tielemans turns, and obviously we're seeing an angle of the front of his body, and he can turn his head, and we don't get to see that. But Anthony Gordon is on him in half a second, and he has to make a decision, and it's just like that. So
well, you can see with his blonde,
yeah, just charging him down. So different game, different player. But to see Luiz do what he did, and he does so often, it kind of makes you realise as a supporter like how quick the game is. And this is just a friendly. So when players do things like that, we rightly talk about it in a manner where we spent 4 or 5 minutes on a through ball basically. And Kamara did the same for Archer as well.
I'll be honest, I don't doubt that Kamara and Luiz can do those balls for 9 times out of 10 they'll probably come off. But it was just how he positioned himself, and he knew exactly where Diaby was. He knew where his marker was. In 4 touches, he's just completely taken him out of the game, and he's delivered a ball that's put him in on goal. Like, that's serious quality. Like, honestly, if any midfielder does that in world football, you'd look at it and think, "Oh, that's classic."
De Bruyne, Haaland.
Yeah, exactly. But you get a bit lost because we're looking at Diaby, and it's like, "Oh my God, Diaby scored." Douglas, he's becoming a seriously good footballer. I know I said it in the last game, and I said it's only Newcastle and Walsall, but
I'm sure that won't be the last time you say that this season, because he is getting better.
It's just the touches he takes. It's so easy for him, and he just knows what's going on all the time. And by the way, a lot of that you can say for Tielemans. He was similar, very clever, very quick. He again always scanning. He knew exactly where his next pass was going to go. Evading challenges. Is press resistant as well. He'd receive the ball back to goal. He'd turn a player quite easily. Very clever player, very intelligent. So between him and Luiz, there's very little drop off there. And honestly, if Villa are going to go deep in Europe, that's fantastic, because you can bring one off at 60 minutes for the weekend game, and you don't lose that key part of what Emery's got in his team, which is that creative midfielder next to a Kamara or next to a Dendoncker if he stays, or something similar in Irubina maybe. But that creative hub in that double pivot is key. And if you've got 2 of them who aren't going to gas out on energy for games throughout the season, then super.
Yeah, there's another question about how do you keep them happy, and I want to talk about Diaby as well. Keeping them happy, you just mentioned it there about playing games in Europe. Now, before we started, I did some quick math, and I might have got it slightly wrong with when Villa enter certain competitions, whether it's the 3rd round or the 2nd round, but bear with me for a second. If Villa go all the way in the FA Cup, that's 6 games, I think, possibly 7. If Villa go all the way in the Carabao Cup, it's 7 games, possibly 6, possibly 8. If Villa go all the way in the Europa Conference League, it's 15 games. Possibly 16 if they have to play a 3rd round playoff. What I'm saying is, if Villa go all the way in every competition they play in, which, let's face it, they're not going to, but for argument's sake, they do, get to the final of 3 cup competitions and play 38 games in the Premier League, that's between 66 and 69 games between August and May. That's how you keep players happy. Douglas Luiz isn't going to, Villa aren't going to get there before anyone starts and play 70 games. But if they did, Douglas Luiz is not going to play all 70 games. These players will have chance to be rotated, and we're not in a position anymore where you've got 11 players, and if one of them isn't available, Villa are in trouble and lose 3 or 4 games because that player isn't available. The only one that can be said for at the moment is probably Martinez. Anyone else is out of this side for 2, 3, 4 games with an injury or a suspension, you think their replacement is almost as good as them anyway. And that competition for places will make a better squad, fired up, ready to compete and be involved. So if Villa go 50 games, 60 games, whatever it is, players will be happy because they'll all feature.
That was one of my questions to Tyrone Mings when I saw him on, I don't know what the day is, Tuesday. And he said basically the same. If Villa want to get to where they, if Villa want to get to where they want to get to, they need competition for places, and the arrival of Pau Torres is obviously competition for him. They want to win trophies with Villa, and they want to be going deep in competitions with Villa and having success. They know that they can't do that with 12 players or regular starters all the time. They need players to come off the bench and impact games, and they need to be rested themselves for other ones. So, and they'll welcome that. I don't think players, yes, they want to play every game, but there'll also be times when Villa are playing Steaua Bucharest in the Conference League away from home, and we've just had a grueling game against Arsenal away. We've got Liverpool at home coming up next. That's when you need your rotation. So it is massively important, and I think players appreciate that the Villa have got to this level, and especially a lot of the players like Mings, McGinn, players who have been on a journey with Villa now for the last 3 or 4, 5 years. they're desperate to win a trophy with Villa, and if that means playing a few less games in a season, they don't care, because they'll come out of that season, cementing their hero status with Villa, because again they've come on that journey, and that's what Mings told me on Tuesday. So rotation is going to be important, and squad depth is going to be crucial, and players are aware of that as well. Yes, they want to be playing loads of games, but they understand the benefits of a bigger squad as well.
Talk to me about Diaby then, a little bit of a scouting report, if you like. From the bits that I've read and heard from Chris Williams on our podcast that we did, and kind of the research I've done since we were rumoured to have signed him and then to have completed that deal, the goal that he scored for us in the friendly against Fulham was the goal I was expecting to see from him, from what I've learned about him. That running behind with pace, that kind of ferocious finishing that he can have. A big part of that goal is Douglas Luiz's brilliance as well. But to have somebody with genuine pace, not in a kind of disrespectful way that he's a pace merchant, and when he does get in front of goal, he kind of doesn't know what to do when he gets there, because he certainly does. But to have somebody who can do that and also apply the finish at the same time is a lethal kind of weapon for Emery to have. Hold on a sec. Come in then.
Yeah, he played the second half, came on off the bench at half time. I was surprised that he played the full half, to be fair. Clearly Emery wants him to get up to speed right away. He did say that he didn't expect him to take long to adjust to playing with his new teammates and settling in, which is obviously a positive. And honestly, he didn't see too much of the ball. Obviously from the highlights, it's probably involved in a few things which is a good thing. But the second half was very disjointed and lacked rhythm and tempo and intensity, so it wasn't the best game for him to have played in. But the one sight of goal that he has, you didn't doubt that he was going to put the ball past Rodak. So a sign of a top player, really. And that's what I said to Emery after the game, that he wasn't involved too much, but then one bit of movement in behind, Luiz is going to pick him out. And that's the thing. Diaby is so much more dangerous when you've got players like Luiz, Kamara, Tielemans all behind him ready to supply it, because you can't defend. Well, you can defend pace, but if you're playing a high line in the Premier League, which is what most clubs do, because they're pressing the ball when Villa are building up. If Villa can beat the trap and get players like Tielemans on the ball, if you've got Diaby, Watkins, maybe Philogene as well, if he's playing on the right, if he stays and things like that, that's some serious firepower. And those centre backs that are going to be playing for an opposition team, they're going to be very scared. I was going to say something else about that pace, and then you'd expect them to drop back, which then affects their press. So having pace in your team, especially in this day and age of football, it's I think that's the key reason why Emery wanted to add a player like Diaby, and why obviously we're heavily interested in Brennan Johnson as well.
It's not even just having pace and knowing that Diaby might get in at some point, and if he does, he'll score. Even just the threat of pace is enough to put teams on the back foot. That thinking, I can't step up too far here, or whatever it might be, because if Douglas Luiz does what he does and turns on a sixpence and puts it over the back of my head, Diaby can get to it. He might not necessarily will do, but he could get to it. And obviously, from what we've seen in his highlight reels and the 45 minutes against Fulham, is that if he does get behind, he has got the ability to finish as well. And that's a dangerous and lethal combination, and a very exciting one for supporters as well. I think I want to wrap up this one. Still loads of other talking points. Coutinho played his first minutes in pre-season. Buendia is looking very good still and playing in the position that Jacob Ramsey would be. So when Jacob Ramsey comes back, does he take Buendia's spot? Somebody asked that on social media, and my response would be that if Buendia plays the first 3 or 4 games of the season and scores 3 goals, for example, Jacob Ramsey doesn't deserve to just walk straight back into the team. And that's what the conversation we've been having about squad depth. Philogene also playing well again for the second time, doing 2 different roles almost, of being able to supply firepower going forward, but also drop back and defend as well. Something that, if it's a straight swap that Diaby is playing on the right-hand side for Philogene, he probably wouldn't be able to track back in the same way that he would. So that's a different asset for us to have as well, if obviously, like you say, Philogene sticks around. Last couple of points I want to end on very quickly is the lifestyle section of the podcast, where I ask you what's been happening. Did you go on any rides at Orlando? What's the next kind of stages of the tour? We've had 2 questions asking about your food situation. Matt says, can you please tell John to eat something that isn't supermarket processed chicken, because it's making me sad? And AVFC Sarko said, is John happier with the food selection and the value now he's in Florida?
Out in Orlando, there's a supermarket nearby that does, they have like a kitchen counter, so they do hot food,
right?
Which is useful. So
now we're talking.
exactly. Hot food, that's fantastic. I could go to a restaurant and eat there, but the point is I don't want to spend over limits. Like if you get stuff on expenses and whatever, I don't want to be cheeky with it and say, oh,
Is this £100 steak I had? I just had to have it.
Here's the $40 I spent on 2 meals, or it'd probably be more than that, to be fair. So I'm trying to restrict myself, but it's very difficult. And I'm back in Washington in a few days, so I might have to stock up on on things out here. And then, I don't know if that would get through customs. I don't know. I got stopped a few times in the pub with people asking about food situation, which is good. A word on the supporters, by the way. Like, it's insane that you walk around Florida and people come up to you and say that they like the podcast and the work that we put in and stuff like that. Like it's a privilege for us to do it. But I think we said it before, if we bring fans from out here closer to Villa, then that's our job done. And yeah, just a shout out to everyone who stopped me and spoke to me, like, you know who you are. And it was really nice to meet you all. And hopefully in Maryland as well, we'll see some more fans of the podcast. But it's really touching to have those conversations with fans who had either never seen Villa before, barely seen them at all. Yeah, and if we can bring them closer to Villa, then that's it's a privilege to do that.
John, that'll do us for this show. Thank you for joining us as always. You're back off to Washington after this for the final game of the Premier League Summer Series, which if Villa win and Chelsea don't, I think Villa can win this thing, which would be cool, I guess, or whatever. I don't know.
I think Chelsea need to win and better our goal difference, I believe. Oh, better the result, better our scoreline.
The upcoming mini schedule for the next few days for Claret and Blue is that Friday, as we're recording this tomorrow, there will be an interview with somebody. You'll have to tune in to find out. That will be around midday. Sunday, we're going to be doing the post-Brentford show, so the same day of the game. It kicks off as a 5 p.m. kickoff in the UK. So the podcast is probably going to be 9:30, 10:30 p.m. and it'll be a quick 20-minute chat just to catch up on the game, because you're flying back to the UK via Paris Monday morning, and then Tuesday will be something. I'm not sure what yet. It could be a Q&A, or it could be a video we've already filmed in the bag, something else which I've not edited yet. So the loose schedule is Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. There'll be Claret and Blue content of some description. So stick with us. There was loads coming up, and before you know it, like we said, and we said last week, the Premier League season will be upon us, and you'll be off to Premier League press conferences, and we'll be doing the post-match show as always. So loads coming up. Stay subscribed to Claret and Blue, like the video, leave a comment down below as per usual. John, thanks for your time. Safe travels to Washington, and we'll see you all again on Sunday/Friday/Tuesday. Join us whenever. Thank you for watching.